since we just got done talking about Gavin Newsom, I unfortunately have another story that includes Gavin Newsom, but also includes JB Pritzker and Tim Walz. This is courtesy of NBC News. Democratic governors seek to roll back state-funded health care for undocumented immigrants. I am so ashamed of these three individuals. It doesn't shock me that Gavin Newsom would do this. It doesn't really shock me that JB Pritzker would do this as well. But for Tim Walz to also be advocating for this, or to say that, pardon me, he would sign this bill when it reaches his desk, shame on him. This is a massive betrayal. This is spitting in the face of not only the progressive community, a community that welcomed Tim Walz and welcomed and appreciated everything that he brought to this movement, but also undocumented immigrants, a group of people that is being explicitly targeted by the Trump administration. This is so shameful that I'm not even willing to consider him for 2028 anymore off of this one rumor alone. If he signs this, I will effectively be off the Walz wagon. Sorry, buddy. You don't have the opportunity to make mistakes like this at a time like this. You need to better recognize the fucking political landscape right now. A trio of states with Democratic governors viewed as potential 2028 candidates have taken steps in recent weeks to freeze or cut government funding healthcare coverage for undocumented migrants. This is something I would expect from Kathy Hochul, my fucking governor. And not even she has done some dumb shit like that. Like, Tim Walz, do you understand what kind of fucking group you're falling into? Oh my God. He needs to reverse this decision. If this bill lands to his desk, he needs to veto it. You can't have spent the last couple of years bragging about Minnesota having the best healthcare and how you're the best governor in the country right now, and then turn around and do some dumb shit like this. Gavin Newsom of California, JB Pritzker of Illinois, and Tim Walz of Minnesota have largely attributed the proposals to budget shortfalls stemming from original plans to expand healthcare to immigrants without legal status. But the moves also occur against the backdrop of broader debate within the Democratic Party over how to handle immigration, an issue that dragged it down in the last election and that President Trump and the GOP have continued to try to capitalize on. The plans, which would scale back health coverage for undocumented immigrants in the three Democratic-led states just years after it was expanded, have angered progressives and immigrant advocacy groups who warned the party risked alienating its base, particularly as protests against Trump's deportation plans break out across the country. The budgetary concerns for this are so fucking stupid. It is such a goddamn cop-out. If you're concerned about the budget, raise taxes on wealthy people, raise taxes on billionaires, raise taxes on the 1%, raise taxes on corporations, tax religious institutions, not only at the state level, but at the federal level as well. So that way the federal government can subsidize healthcare all throughout the country. I don't give a fuck about the budget shortfall that you'll experience with this additional healthcare coverage. Because now, Tim Walz, and now Gavin Newsom, and now JB Pritzker, your Minnesotans and your Californians and your Illinoisans, I don't know if that's the word, all of your residents, they're going to fucking die. Some of them are going to fucking die because of this. There is new reporting that's come out where 50,000 people are expected to die because of the Medicaid cuts that are trying to be advanced through the Senate right now. This is serious. This is a serious thing. Like, this isn't just some fucking, this isn't just some like aesthetic bullshit. This is real consequences for these families. The latest development came in Minnesota on Tuesday after both chambers of the legislature passed a bill to end state-funded healthcare for undocumented adults. The bipartisan effort advanced through the Republican-controlled House and the Democratic-controlled Senate as part of attempts to balance the state budget. It now goes to Walz, who said he'll sign it. The bill would end undocumented adults' eligibility for Minnesota care. the state-funded health insurance program for low-income residents, effectively reversing one of the signature policy wins Walz secured during a landmark legislative session in 2023, when Democrats were in full control of the state government. Undocumented children would remain eligible to enroll in the program under the legislation. In California, Newsom unveiled a budget last month that would cut back on healthcare benefits for undocumented immigrants, a stark reversal from his promises of universal healthcare for all of the state's residents, regardless of their immigration status. Yeah, well, Gavin Newsom is a fucking slimy weasel. He's made multiple promises like this, whether it be for universal healthcare, whether it be for manufacturing insulin, whether that be for a $20 minimum wage. Oh, by the way, that passed, except Panera workers were excluded because one of Gavin Newsom's major donors owns like almost 24 Panera locations. I cannot get over the betrayal from Tim Walz. All of the advocacy that he got from these communities, all of the love and appreciation that he got from these communities, he just threw it away because the fucking budget said so. Newsom's plan in his 25-26 budget has called for freezing enrollment for undocumented adults to receive the full scope of the state's Medicaid program known as Medi-Cal. Newsom's office has said the changes would apply only to new applicants over age 19, that existing enrollees wouldn't be kicked off their plans, and that freeze, which would begin next year, wouldn't apply to people enrolled in limited plans. None of this fucking matters, though, because you're still taking healthcare away from people. You could try to add all these stipulations and these conditions, but at the end of the day, undocumented migrants are going to not have healthcare. It's that simple. They are going to die because they can't go to the hospital for serious medical conditions. They won't be able to get preventative care as well. Like, it doesn't fucking matter what Gavin Newsom says to try to sugarcoat this. It doesn't fucking matter what Tim Walz says to try to sugarcoat this. People are not going to get healthcare. They're not going to be able to get medical treatment. Newsom's proposed changes also include a $100 monthly premium for adults 19 and older with, quote, unsatisfactory immigration status beginning in 2027. Another thing, these people are on the state-funded healthcare program because they either don't make enough money or they work a job that doesn't allow them to qualify for health insurance. Again, think of the kinds of jobs that undocumented immigrants typically work. They work in agriculture, they work in restaurants, they work shift work, they work in hospitality. All of these industries are built on not providing adequate benefits to their employees, which includes private health insurance. They are not on welfare because they're lazy. They are on welfare because they have to be. When I was on Medicaid, after I got kicked off my parents' insurance, I was not on Medicaid because I was lazy. I was on Medicaid because I wasn't able to get health insurance from my fucking job. His expansion of Medi-Cal has cost far more than his administration anticipated. Newsom has said the changes will help to balance the state's budget, which has run a multi-billion-dollar shortfall that he's blamed on Trump's tariffs, as well as growing costs from higher enrollment in Medi-Cal. Meanwhile, Illinois remains on track by the end of the month to end a program called Health Benefits for Immigrant Adults that provides state-funded health care for more than 30,000 low-income adults who are living in the state without documentation. Similarly, the program in Illinois was more expensive than expected when it was created in 2021. Pritzker's latest budget, which the Democratic-led legislature passed last month, proposed eliminating it by July 1st. At least four other states offer some type of health care coverage to adults regardless of their immigration status. Several more offer health care coverage for children regardless of their immigration status, as California, Illinois, and Minnesota will continue to do if these new plans go into effect. While the moves would help California, Illinois, and Minnesota recalibrate their budgets, a sweeping Trump-backed domestic policy bill moving through Congress proposes slashing Medicaid funding for states that provide health care coverage to undocumented immigrants. Trump also signed an executive order this year targeting undocumented immigrants' access to government assistance programs, even though when it comes to Medicaid, undocumented immigrants and natural-born U.S. citizens pay into Medicaid on average the same. In actually some cases, immigrants wind up paying more, but they receive the same amount back in benefits. The fact remains, the data states, the evidence shows that undocumented immigrants do not mooch off of the system. They pay more into the system than they receive. They pay into Social Security but can't collect Social Security. They pay into state and local taxes, despite sometimes not being able to receive some of the benefits that go along with that because of their immigration status. Medicaid is the same. In a response to questions from NBC News, Newsom spokesperson Elena Ross reiterated his statement in his initial announcement of the changes last month that, quote, instead of rolling back the program, meaning cutting people off for basic care, we're capping it. Except, like, oh my God, yeah. Like, this guy's a slimy asshole. Pritzker's office said in an email that this year passing a balanced budget required the difficult decision that reflects the reality of Trump and Republicans tanking our national economy and attempting to strip away health care. And yet you're going along with it. Which, like, why? You're a blue state. Why don't you withhold federal tax dollars so they don't get sent to red states? Huh? What about that? What about trying to actually combat this legislation? Is it cruel? Yes, it's cruel. Use that to highlight the cruelty of the Trump administration, because guess what? Those folks in red states are going to lose health care either way. California, New York, Massachusetts, Illinois, they all pay more into federal taxes than they receive. Threaten to withhold some of that money. I don't care if it's cruel. I don't. It's about putting up a fight. Highlight that cruelty and direct it back to the Trump administration. 13.7 million people are expected to be kicked off Medicaid if this bill passes. Is that not cruel? Is that not inhumane? A Walz spokesperson didn't respond to questions about Minnesota's plan, which was the result of a compromise after Republican lawmakers had pushed to end the entire Minnesota Care program. You have a fucking majority in the Senate. Governor Walz does not have to sign this bill. Why is the compromise? Why do you have to compromise on healthcare? Why can't you compromise on, like, the police budget or something? Why not, instead of capping the amount of care that someone can receive, why don't you cap the amount of overtime that a fucking police officer could work? Quote, no one got everything they wanted, Walz said last month after he reached a tentative deal with Republicans on the budget. There were very difficult conversations about issues that were very dear to each of these causes, but at the end of the day, we were able to come to an agreement. Yeah, and it's a shitty fucking agreement, Tim Walz. You should be ashamed of yourself. Immigrant advocacy groups have panned the move, saying they risk further imperiling the broader healthcare system and blasted Democrats for succumbing to Trump's attacks. Quote, we urge state leaders to build on their progress rather than placing the health of their residents at risk, said Tanya Broder, the senior counsel for health and economic justice policy at the National Immigration Law Center. Particularly as extremist politicians scapegoat and target immigrants, we are counting on state officials to do the right thing and hold the line. Some progressives questioned whether the moves were part of a broader strategy by the three governors to move to the right on the broader issue of immigration, which polling has shown still remains one of Trump's strongest issues. Don't succumb to this. That's such pussy shit, man. These people are fucking clowns. If you're trying to fight against an issue, you highlight the depravity of that issue. You do what Gavin Newsom did. Talk about the 4-year-old who got fucking deported. Talk about the lady who was 9 months pregnant who got fucking deported. You don't move to the right when the president is a fucking fascist. Read the room. Like, Tim Walz spent fucking 6 months or however fucking long it was in the Democratic establishment, and it permanently rotted his fucking brain. If there is any message to upcoming politicians who consider themselves to be progressive, fuck the Democratic establishment. That is my message to you. They do not deserve your partnership. They do not deserve your allyship. You can caucus with them. You can attempt to work with them. But if they do shit like this, you should be ashamed to work with them, because this is not an ideological alignment. This is bending the knee to fascism. This is manufacturing consent for fascism. They said they could face a backlash from their base by departing from positions on supporting immigrant communities and expanding healthcare. Quote, it really feeds into the conservative narrative that undocumented immigrants are a drain on our communities, said Jennifer Driver, a senior director at the State Innovation Exchange, a progressive legislative policy group. This assumption that by moving more to the middle or to the right that you're going to recruit some people back, I think it's a miscalculation. Dude, Tim Walz, my brother, you were on the campaign trail with Kamala Harris. Kamala, at the urging of her team and at the Biden team, did everything in her power to look like Diet Trump on this issue, and it lost her the fucking election. She went to the right on immigration. She went to the right on border policy. She danced around with fucking Liz Cheney. That is a reason why you guys lost. And now you're doing the exact same shit. The frustration that you're seeing in the Democratic base is due to this kind of waffling, the kind of idea that, okay, yeah, we're progressive, but only in some moments. Other strategists suggested it remained too early to gauge whether a broader shift was in play as governors and other lawmakers positioned themselves for potential 2028 bids, and they emphasized that the threats blue states face from Trump are serious. The Trump administration is freezing the hell out of states, said Jeff Blodgett, a Minnesota-based Democratic strategist who was a campaign manager for the late Senator Paul Wellstone and the state director for both of Barack Obama's presidential campaigns. Yeah, this is the kind of fucking clown that I want to be listening to. This guy, this NPC from the Obama administration, is gonna lecture me about progressivism? Are you fucking stupid? You think I'm gonna listen to this guy as he says there's just a lot of concern about current and future budgets given what the federal government is doing to states? The blue states will be able to weather the budgetary shortfall. Like, the blue states will be able to weather this. I don't understand where the fucking disconnect is. Like, the data is there. The evidence is there. Red states benefit more from federal income tax dollars than blue states do. It's that simple. The blue states actually managed to raise enough money to support their communities, while these very rural communities in these red states have been fucking maligned by the plague that is neoliberalism and capitalism, as their conservative leaders have allowed corporations to come in and gut worker rights. They have lobbied to keep the minimum wages low. They have lobbied to keep tax revenue low. That's why red states don't have any fucking money, because they've been gutted by conservative ideology and neoliberalism. The blue states are worried about what Donald Trump is gonna fucking do to them. Suck my balls, man. That's such a bullshit justification for this. Just say that you hate brown people. Just say that you think immigrants are welfare queens. Don't try to fucking dance around with this bullshit both sides ism, this Ezra Klein ass, Derek Thompson ass ideology. Give me a fucking break.